Okay, we're past the appointed hour by a little bit. Calling the meeting report, Board of Health on February 15th to order. First is the roll call.
Lane present.
Hoffman present.
Catalano present.
Okay. Our agenda's been published, so we'll start down that. These are general business updates, but not limited to the following. Approve the available minutes, which is January 18. I reviewed them. I did not have any additional comments. Anyone have any comments?
Yes. So, line 55 on the second page,
Yeah.
I think the he, it says he also noted the alternate inspector, averages 8 hours per week. I think that was you, David, that told us that, right? Because I wouldn't even have that knowledge.
I'm sorry, I'm just pulling that up.
Yeah, okay.
Line 55?
Yes.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Yeah, because the he would refer back to me, I'm the only one. But it was David, so,
I can
Yes.
change that.
It was.
The health agent noted.
right. That's the only thing that I noticed.
Okay.
I have nothing. I move that we accept the minutes of January 18th as amended.
Second?
Any further discussion? None appearing, we'll take a vote.
Lane, aye.
Hoffman, aye.
Catalano, aye.
Okay, we'll take care of that. Okay, next item, number 2, health agent report, rabies clinic.
So, a couple of things here. First of all, the annual rabies clinic will be held at the VCA on Clinton Road on March 30th. That's for dogs and cats.
Correct.
I want to update the board as well that I have a couple of seminars coming up. One on the 21st and one on the 29th and one on March 7th. Just a couple of Title V seminars and Mass DEP seminars.
Okay, how about giving us the titles of them, since we've got a couple minutes?
Sure. MEHA is offering a Title V seminar with regards to nitrogen credit lands, surveying septic designs, innovative and alternative technologies is one of them. The other one on the 29th will be dealing specifically with odor and noise from cannabis growing operations, emergency response and Board of Health responsibilities. The last one will have topics associated with PFAS in drinking water. It'll also follow up with odors and noise from cannabis growing facilities. To that point, we have had some odor concerns with the cannabis facility in town here. Not any noise complaints though.
So you're doing the in-person one or the online ones?
There'll be 2 in person and 1 online.
Which ones, what are the 2 that are in person?
The 29th is an in-person one, the 21st is in person, March 5th is the virtual.
March 5th?
March 5th.
7th.
No, March 7th is
Okay.
is an in-person one.
Yeah.
Interagency updates?
Alan, if I could, I do have a couple other updates on that I have not, they're not on the agenda, but just recently came in. We were notified today that the animal inspector is resigning effective March 1st. She is getting a job with benefits.
Okay, so she's still gonna work for the town?
Not after March 1st.
Not at, oh,
Effective
okay.
March 1st, she'll
She's
have,
resigning,
she submitted a resignation letter and that'll be effective March 1st.
so we'll have to advertise that, right?
Yes, that's how we've done it in the past.
Do we have an alternative? Does the ACO act as the, or do we, I don't think she does.
She
It's
doesn't.
not like Lewis.
Right, Lewis in the past did both
Right.
responsibilities. I have always been the alternate animal inspector in the event that there's an issue or a big concern. I still think I would recommend that the board hire or place the ad out for a animal inspector, primary animal inspector, as opposed to anything else.
Yeah, we should do that. So we should,
There are quite a bit of responsibilities that go along with that. She does not only do the animals, but she does the barn inspections,
barn
which are under
inspections, barn book,
also our stable inspections.
yeah.
Can she do a bullet point list of everything that she's been doing, or do we already have that?
We have that, and I'm happy to send that off to you.
Yeah, maybe send it to all of us.
Sure.
It's been a while since we've had to appoint someone to that position. You know, we should try to get on that, so.
Also, we were recently invited to the Finance Committee meeting to discuss our FY25 budget. I sent out an email to all aboard, and as such, I've recently posted a meeting for that on the 20th at 6:30 PM here in this room. That's all I have for updates.
Okay. Response to the Attorney General's open meeting law determination. We did receive that. And they basically, it's lengthy, I don't really want to read it. I don't think there's any new information, even though we've got a three-page letter here. But I think to all of us, they ordered immediate and future compliance with the law's requirements. We caution future violations could be considered evidence of intent to violate the law. In addition, we order all members of the board to attend a webinar training on the open meeting law conducted by our office within the next 60 days. Now, I believe we have all done that. Is that correct?
That doesn't apply to me, but on the complaint.
Well, you're on the board now, though.
You're on the board.
Oh,
My
I've
legal
confirmed it doesn't apply to me, so,
You confirmed that it doesn't
yeah.
apply?
Besides, I just took it.
Well, that's, okay, so, and you submitted the form here.
Yes.
Okay.
You can't
Yeah, I-
issue a punishment to the complainant.
No, I
Yeah,
understand
okay,
that, but the word is all.
Right.
The word is all.
Okay, they were under the impression that it was the same board. They
Yeah,
weren't
no,
aware, yeah, okay.
I understand, but the word all has a legal meaning. Okay, I've done it, and you've done it, so I will draft a letter saying we've all done this. Send it back. Okay, any further discussion on that? All right.
What did the letter say? Was there a violation that took place?
One member of the board they found had a violation.
So it's a 4-page letter.
Yeah, I mean,
We can.
we can make this,
Someone
it's
can
public,
contribute to that?
it's
It's certainly
public.
public information,
It's
we can make
public.
copies and solicit that if you'd like, or if they
Yes.
come up after the meeting.
You want me to go make copies?
Well, I want to move on with the agenda.
You can have mine.
Yeah, we'll
Well,
get
you
to it.
can make copies, we're just not, we won't hold the meeting till you,
I don't expect you to.
okay? Just want to be clear.
All right. Discussions of the FY '25 Board of Health budget. Call on Mr. Favor here.
So a couple of things with regards to the budget. We've looked at the budget. Specifically, we've allocated, in the previous version of our budget, we've allocated 16 hours of time for the administrative assistant's position. And we've budgeted in the past, the previous budget, we've budgeted 12 hours for the alternate food and septic inspector. And in looking at those numbers in a summary of what we've utilized for hours over the past 3 years, we took that average and we're able to shave a little bit of money out of those line items. The total amount of monies out of each of those line items was a $12,253 difference. If we take and average that down. So that would allow the administrative assistant 10 hours per week and the alternate food and septic inspector 8 hours per week. It does cut us tight, but I think if we use those numbers, we've changed our budget to reflect a little bit of a savings. The concern has always been, what happens if we go over that? What happens if there's another pandemic or anything as such? How challenging will it be for us to ask and get something back? But as I presented the budget now, that reflects that savings, that $12,253 savings. It also includes, which did not include in the previous version, I'm asking for the Board of Health to consider spending $450. We've received a quote to program our radios, so that we can be on the same frequency in the event of a pandemic or anything as such with the fire department and the police department. Right now, we have standalone radios, and it would be more ideal for everybody to be on the same frequency. And that would equate to $450 additional. I've also put that into our budget as a line item.
Is that reflected in this new worksheet?
It is. If you look at the bottom, Rich, you'll see program 4 radios and $450 expense.
Oh, yeah, got it.
So that's new in comparison to last month's version.
So basically, we've shaved off
13,000.
about $15,000. I mean, we've taken,
If we use the numbers, what we requested, we've shaved off 15. If we're using numbers, what we went off of last year, we've shaved off 12,253.
so
So down at the bottom, it says department total, and $9,225 is in parentheses. Is that the total that we've actually changed?
That is a savings, yes. We've
The bottom line is it's 5.16% less than what we had asked for.
That's correct, and that $9,225 parentheses represents a deduction from what our budget was last year. That's 5.16% difference, less than what we had last year's request.
Oh, from last year's request.
Yes.
Okay. All right, but just that, it's a little, it's confusing because it's in the chain.
I understand.
The change is actually 12,253. But this budget is 9,225 less than last year's.
Correct.
Okay, all right.
And does that, I mean, this isn't a big thing, but the additional radios, that's not on this sheet? Or
It is in that sheet.
It is on that sheet?
Yeah.
Okay, it wasn't on it when I.
And it's not new radios, you just
It's the
reprogram,
That's
Programming of the
which,
radios. Right.
how old are the radios, David?
I don't know exactly, we had two different batches. You know, I don't know exactly how we.
Because all those radios have a engineered obsolescence date on them. They will not, if they're very old, we should actually start looking into replacing them. Because I used to do the radios for the state police, and they call it engineered obsolescence. At some point in time, you will not be able to get parts for them anymore.
I wish I could say how old they are specifically.
So just something to think of in the future, anyways. I was shocked to actually hear that when I did that. I didn't know that was a thing before, but they said if they didn't do it, they'd go out of business. So that was the explanation.
Okay.
So again, my only concern with this budget is, you know, respectfully, we've modified it with some deductions. But my long-term concern is, you know, what happens if?
In that respect, I think we would be in the same boat as every other department from the town. You know, if there's some type of emergency like that, I think we wouldn't be the only ones going back to the town. And that's why we maintain free cash in the town, so that things like that can occur.
And Rich, that's a good valid point. You know, I want to bring to the attention, you know, our communicable disease for 2023 consisted of 193. Previous to that, we had 953 communicable diseases. And yes, a lot of those, that 953 were the coronavirus. But, you know, that's a lot of administration work as well as nursing. And it's things like that, those nuts and bolts that are on the back of my mind. Certainly, we can go back, as you said, and I'm not gonna debate that opportunity, but, you know, we'll have a savings for a few years, and then if we have to go back, so be it, or we just turn money back as we've done in the
I
past.
mean, we may have to go back within a year as well, you know, because.
Well, that's the way the budget works.
Yeah.
I have to say, my experience in the town has been that if there's a legitimate request, I don't remember any of them being turned down. I could be wrong, in my memory, I don't remember it, so.
So this is our proposed budget. I would ask that the board consider this. As I said earlier, we do have a meeting with Finance Committee on Tuesday of next week. And this is what we would present to them if this is supported by the board.
Okay, so I'm looking for a motion, or I could make it, to adopt the revised budget, which has a total of $168,947.
No.
This number right here. How'd you get one? You have a different sheet. You have a different sheet than, you're not working off the same one as ours. So,
This is the one that took the,
this is the number now.
it's off by, well, it's $450 more.
Right, because yours doesn't, wherever you got this one from, I
I
don't know.
got this before we talked about the
Right,
radios.
so there's the difference.
So the difference, it's 169,397. So again, I'm gonna move that we adopt the FY '25 budget request of 169,397.
169,
397. That's what-
397.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's, the difference here is the radios came in after I
Yeah.
ordered. Your second?
Second,
Further discussion?
Well, just one comment, it's not really discussion. If you're presenting this sheet to FinCom, I would move that 9,225 out of that column, because that appears to be a FY '25 change. So it kind of contradicts the 12,250. You see what I'm
I
saying?
understand what you're
Yeah.
saying. These sheets are already formatted through the accountant side.
Yeah.
And they're protected, so everything is formulated based on what numbers we put in the
Highlight
lower
it in a
section.
different color or something?
I'm sure we can, I hope we can highlight it.
Just
It's not
just
formatted
just to
a-
take it off the table before it comes up. You
Understood.
know what I mean? Because it was kind of out there when I looked at it.
Which
right?
column are you talking about? You got
So-
a different sheet than I do.
Right.
It's in your book, Alan, the correct sheet.
All right.
So it's on tab 8, I believe.
No, it's under 7. Should be
I'm
under
sorry.
7.
Yeah, I'm seeing 8.
Yeah.
So this is the number I'm talking about?
Yes.
So that, now, that 9,225 is actually the difference between the, that's the difference between this year, the last year and this year.
Yes.
The 12,253 is the difference between the initial FY '25 that
Yeah.
we presented and this.
No, that 12,253 is the difference between fiscal year '24's request and our FY '25 request. Alan spoke to a $15,000 figure. That is the $15,000, Rich, is the difference between what we've asked for. So please disregard the 15,000, it's not on the
Yeah.
sheet, it's not,
that wasn't-
Alan spoke of that only. What's on the sheet, the $12,000 difference
Yeah.
is from fiscal year '24 to fiscal year '25. If you look at the columns where it says FY '24 budget,
Yeah.
you're gonna see $85,993 for what was last year's budget.
Yeah.
And then if you look at the column right beside it, it says, same column, same line, 73,007, that's a $12,253 difference, a savings.
Right.
From last year's budget. Scrolling down, the $9,225 difference, that is a difference, that's a savings from the overall budget, fiscal year '24 to fiscal year '25. So our whole budget this year for fiscal year '25 had a savings
Oh.
of $9,225.
Because we added money in other columns.
That's correct.
All right.
That's correct.
All right, so that is in the correct place. I am corrected.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
All right. Any further discussion? Good. All right. Your motion to accept the revised budget.
You already did that.
Yeah, right. we already-
Roll call vote.
Discussion.
Lane, aye.
Call. Catalano, aye.
Hoffman, aye. Okay, so we've adopted this budget, it's in the book. It's been corrected. All right. Okay, the agent evaluation. This is,
Where is this?
I don't, did you? do you
I have a
it?
copy of,
Oh, okay.
I have a copy of what you have provided and what Alan has provided. Would you like those?
yeah,
Alan, do you have that in your book by chance?
I didn't have any to give up.
no, she
I
didn't.
realized that later, that it
So
was
why
never
don't
given to me.
Why don't we,
Show me to go make copies?
it's not,
You want me to go make
not
copies?
open to public discussion, you can have copies after.
I'll be happy to do it.
Here is yours. Alan, here is yours.
Mr. Lane, you did not
No,
participate.
I haven't been here long enough to be fair, honest.
So, so we can start, we can just briefly go through this. These need to be signed by Mr. Favor when we're done. He did a self-evaluation. Question is, have you participated in professional development in the past year? If so, please outline how and what and how it helped your job performance. What skills and ability and/or knowledge have you obtained in the last year to do your job more effectively? And he lists 3 different trainings here that he participated in, which I think are along the lines of what he already announced he was going to do this year.
Actually, 5. One, just
Oh,
count the
yeah, there's a
dates. One-
semicolon.
Yeah, they're not just
They're not-
single
Just
line.
listed.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so there's 5. List your most important achievements in the past year. Work to make certain all board members were updated both individually and on board, and as on board, were updated both individually and as a board on goals. Comment on your progress in achieving your goals for the most recent review period. His answer was notified members of coming issues and regular monthly meetings and making myself available to each individual member of issues for further discussion as needed in advance of the meetings. Goals for the coming year. Consider all aspects of your, I'll say that again, continue to improve written communication with board members, other departments, and the public in general. Other comments, is the 4th category. I shall continue to devote considerable effort to meeting with and informing board members, employees, other town departments, and the public at large about current Board of Health activities. That was his thing. Then we have uniform performance criteria. I mean, this is a townwide issue. Townwide forms, and each individual board member rates these categories on a scale of 1 to 5. You also have a not applicable category which didn't apply this year. So we could go through what each of us did here. And if that's what we want to do we want to go through our individual ratings?
Sure.
You can read it.
All right, so for communications, I gave David a 5, and I said that he always keeps Board of Health members up to date on all aspects of Board of Health business.
And I gave David a 4 with comments, major improvements have been noted this year.
Okay, next is dependability and time management. I gave David a rating of 4 with a comment, David completes all his assigned work and reports out in a timely manner.
I also gave Mr. Favreau a 4. Mr. Favreau has always worked more than his allotted hours. Better records need to be maintained, and that really pertained to making it clear, making it more easily accessible to how he spends his work hours. And in particular, he does he does inspections on weekends and things like that. There are records for those inspections, but they're not easily accessible. So that was my point. I mean, they meet the record-keeping requirements, but if you want to look up retrospectively, it requires him to go back through the records, whereas I want that kept as a record that's really open and easy to read. Okay, next, productivity.
Productivity in regards to both quantity and quality, I gave a score of 4, and I've never heard a complaint that David's work is anything other than high quality.
Okay. I said total productivity is excellent. I gave him a 5. Total productivity is excellent, but has been achieved by working more than allotted hours. Better records need to be maintained, and I already explained that under the last time I spoke.
Job knowledge and proficiency, I gave a score of 5. That David's job proficiency is evident by being able to explain issues to Board of Health members, as well as challenge other professionals on design decisions and plans. He is up to date on all pertinent issues to the Board of Health.
I simply just I wasn't as extensive on that. I just said excellent knowledge and proficiency, and I gave a 5.
Initiative and innovation, I gave a 4. It said review due dates and brings issues to the board's attention, allowing adequate time for review.
Under initiative and innovation, I gave a rating of 5. Mr. Favreau continues to be well-prepared in dealing with the multiple aspects of his job.
Next is professionalism and teamwork. I gave a score of 5. Said, this is not an easy position, but I've never seen David respond to the often ugly comments with nothing other than the highest professionalism. He utilizes his skills to have the board work as a team.
Under professionalism and teamwork, Mr. Favreau exhibits the highest professional standards in interacting with employees, other town departments, and the general public, and a rating of 5.
Under safety and risk management, I gave a score of 5. David is a long-term health agent, works to be sure the town's interests are best served in regards to health and other areas he is in control of.
Okay, under safety and risk management, I gave it a 4. My comment, which I'm not going to explain in any more detail, he was assaulted on the job. He needs to better consider risks to his own safety. That's it.
How about final comments?
Final comments.
I wrote, I have often heard from community members many disparaging remarks regarding David over the past year. None of them were because of his actual work as a health agent, but chagrin over whom he was related to, how much he's paid, which is actually largely unchanged over a number of years, and the hours he keeps. He works weekends and holidays when it best meets residents' needs. David would be extremely hard to replace.
Okay. I did not have any additional comments. And then, performance objectives and update status. That's the next one.
I didn't do that one.
You didn't do that?
No,
Okay, well, I did.
because I didn't have the performance objectives, the 3 of them from last year. I just remember one of them was trying to take more time off. That was the only one.
Okay, so under performance objective 1, I had needs to delegate more within the constraints of limited personnel. Update status, I think improvement has been noted, but more, I think he could still delegate more than he does, and I gave him a rating of 4.
I believe you have a question back here?
No, you can't have a question here. Objective 2, continue improvement in the written communication. And here I said, there's been considerable improvement in meeting this goal. This was a goal from last year. These are the goals from last year. In meeting this goal, some improvement is still needed. I gave him a 5. I think he's improved dramatically in the written communication stage. And then objective 3 was our skills being fully utilized. Improvements in meeting objectives 1 and 2 resulted in his skills being fully utilized. I probably should have said more fully beautifies. Okay, performance objective planning.
Really just to continue to work on the three that we've already had.
Number one, I have, in addition to regular record keeping, you should create a new log of off-hours inspections and Board of Health activities, which includes activities and hours spent from leaving to your return to your residence. I mean, these records exist, but they're not in an easily accessible form. And number two, while it's been very considerable, I emphasize the word very, considerable improvement in written communications that still needs to be worked on. And evaluators' comments, and overall comments.
No, I put them in with the numbered ones.
Yeah, okay. I just came back to Mr. Favreau exhibits excellent leadership for the Sterling Health Department. That's it. So this is a matter of public record.
Do we need to sign these? Or?
I think that might be a good date. Sign it and date it. I'm just going to do it on the last page. Okay, let's go to his file, his personal file.
Thank you both.
Down-
Thank you, David.
Can I say something?
Not yet. We can go to public session.
I wanted to give a recommendation for David. That's all I wanted to do, was just say from the community at large, an opinion from a taxpayer on his performance. That's what I wanted to say, because it's the
You can
right
say
time.
that as a public session.
Thank you very much.
My name is Roseanne Mapp. I live on 33 Taft Road. And I wanted to give a good shout out to David for the work he does for the town. He's always cooperative. Anytime you call him, he's always happy to answer any questions that the community at large may have based on no information from the board. I often see David conducting this meeting as chairperson, and I just wanted to acknowledge that and to thank him for doing that and to keeping everything on track and up to date and with dignity and pride. I, for one, as a taxpayer, thank you very much, David.
Any other comments for public session?
I have comments from public session.
Okay?
Okay. Are we in public session?
She said that in public session. She gave.
I don't
she
know if
gave-
that was clear, but
Is it public session?
yes.
Yeah, it was public session. I had
Okay.
opened public session before she
All right.
spoke.
The first thing I wanted is to comment on was this letter that was received from the state. The conclusion, which I think people have a right to hear, because there were a lot of people in this room here with regard to this problem. Okay, so it says from the state, the reasons stated above, we find that the board violated open meeting laws by deliberating via email and outside of a meeting. We order immediate and future compliance with the law's requirements, and we caution that similar future violations would be considered in evidence to intent to violate the law. In addition, we order all members of the board to attend a webinar training in the open meeting law and conducted by our office within 60 days. So I just wanted to put that out there because there's a lot of people who are not here who will never see this. So another reason I wanted to get up and
Well,
say.
let me answer that one.
Okay.
All three members have
Yes, I understand that. You did state that you had taken the open meeting, you had redone the open meeting law thing with the, thank you for doing that, appreciate it. I just wanted people to know what the conclusion was,
Yes.
because you didn't state what the conclusion was, so I figured that, the taxpayers have a right to know.
Yeah, no,
So that's why I just wanted to read
This is
that
a-
last paragraph.
This letter is a public document.
I understand, but most people are not here and they'll never see it. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Okay, my next thing that I would like to say is directed to you, Alan. I first of all want to thank you for all the years you've put for service for the town of Sterling. It's been a lot of years. And we all respect you as a human being. I want to say that right out. I feel that at this juncture, before anything goes further on and costs the taxpayers more money, that I'm asking you personally to consider stepping down as chairperson or resigning as chairperson at the end of at the end of this year. So from the bottom of my heart, Alan, thank you for all you've done, but I think it's time that we move on. Thank you.
Well, the chairperson is elected by the board members. And, so I'm not going to step down before, I mean, that's up
I
to
can't
the
hear what
board.
you're saying, you're mumbling.
The chair is elected by the board
I understand.
members. And so the board members, I have no intention of stepping down at this point in time. But the board members will have, after each election, the board members elect a chair.
I understand that, I know how the system works.
Okay,
But you have been chairperson for a very, very, very long time.
Well, it's not, it's 5 or 6 years, 5 years.
That's a long time. Okay, and I'm personally asking you that before the taxpayers have to expense a lot more money to see this through fruition. And we've already done that once, and if you care about the town and the taxpayers, I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Tim Hardy, Demon Road. I appear before this Board of Health to ask two relevant and serious questions. These questions have been repeatedly asked in different forms, but no satisfactory answers have ever been given. Like many others, I was led off track by Mr. Hoffman's statement about what other towns do as far as implementing 310 CMR 15.000, also known as Title V. Indeed, there were several members here who got hung up on the idea that Sterling had to somehow follow the plans of Hingham or Westminster or Acton or Bridgewater because of your insinuations. And I have the documents here that you had given me to follow up on that. This was totally a false idea and was unfortunately readily propagated. Title V lays out all the provisions a town must follow to be compliant. The point is that this is a state regulation. In the 123 pages outlining all these provisions, there is not one single sentence or reference that a town must be compliant with its neighboring town. This document specifies what each town must do to abide by these state regulations. It is absolutely of no consequence what the surrounding towns around Sterling are doing to be compliant with Title V. Clinton has a sewer system. Does that mean we should have one as well? Absolutely not, unless the tests and the facts prove otherwise. So I'd like you to answer the following questions once and for all. As a retired engineer, I based my actions on the facts and data that supported my decision and could be decisively explained to my fellow engineers. To that end, what studies or facts or data does this Board of Health rely on to make a deep observation hole mandatory at the expense of the taxpayers in this town? Because I'm not aware of any studies or any publications or any facts, anything to back this up. Do you?
Done? I'd like to hear everything you got to say before I respond.
I have a follow-up question, but I'd like to hear your response first, sir.
Well, first and foremost, the regulations, the Title V regulations, and I've said this and provided this in a couple of previous meetings, define failure of a septic system. And I don't think I have the regulation directly.
I have them right here.
Yeah, you got the full Title V?
Oh, yeah, the whole 123 pages.
Bring it up, I'll show it to you. It's 2 and 302. Okay, so this is, let's make sure I get it. Okay, this is under 15 CMR 310, 15303, and then there's numbers under there, and we get down to 15303. 7. It should be a 7. Wait a minute. 15303.
My understanding, though, is that it's like that Title V is regulations put down by the state.
Yes.
But there are a plethora of tests that must be done to satisfy what is in Title V.
Oh, wait a minute.
And I guess that's what I'm trying to get to, is like, the Board of Health made this decision that a deep observation hole was mandatory. And I just wanted to know what facts, what studies, what data, made you come to this conclusion.
How old is this?
I printed it out today. It's the latest revision.
They define 303 systems. My copy is different from this.
That is under the,
Well, it's under,
Under the
oh, wait a
state-
minute, wait a
state
minute,
website, it
wait a
says this
minute,
is
you
the
gotta
latest revision.
expand here. You gotta expand on 15303. It says systems failing to protect public health, safety, and environment. It's under there. You haven't printed that out. You haven't printed it out. It's right here. It's right under this section. You want me to circle it?
if you want to, because I printed, I had that, as I said, I printed that out today, all the pages.
But you didn't print, these are the headings, is what you have here.
No, it's like all these,
Oh.
this is all the paperwork that goes, these,
Oh.
this is like your table of contents, and this
Oh,
is like the actual
all right,
document.
yeah, I
And
thought
so,
you-
that's what I'm saying, I have 123 pages referencing
All right,
what's on the
all
front
right.
there. So everything is there, sir.
303. It's not 301.
Is there something in there that I can help you look for?
Well, I'm looking for 15303.
I do know the one you mean, I don't have it in here.
Do you have?
I don't, it's
I'm
not
pulling
in
it up online, so.
It's 303, systems failing to protect the public health. It's,
But it hasn't, what hasn't failed? What if it hasn't failed?
it defines a failure.
But what if it hasn't failed?
It's the leach field being in the groundwater.
It's the leach field being in the ground.
So-
Yeah.
It defines its failure.
I'm gonna go on record as completely disagreeing with this evaluation. 15.301 is entitled, and it is the pertinent section about
You can edit it.
Thank you.
inspections at time of transfer. 15.303 refers to systems that have already been determined to be in failure. 15.301 is written specifically for inspections, okay? There are no tests in 15.301. It is an inspection for systems at time of transfer. If that inspection shows a failure, then you go forward into 15.302 and 15.303. But what has happened with this board, and I'm going on record as saying that, is that they have jumped ahead
Right,
and almost presumed that you're going to be in failure.
right.
There are specific inspections listed in 15.301 that are supposed to be done. We have added a test that the state does not mandate for inspections at time of transfer. And actually 15.301 says a deep observation hole is not required. That is a quote. I've read it so many times, I can just tell you right up front. It says it is not required for inspections at time of transfer. That is the rub in this town right now, and that is the rub against this board. Because the town has asked them to rescind it, go back to Title V, and it hasn't happened. And it's a shame, because it has cost this town a lot of money, and
It will continue to. Can I just add
No,
something there?
no, I wanna
What you-
reply.
What you state is the obvious, and we expect what you said, Richard, is that if we have a Title V and it fails, then to go to the next step. So that makes a lot of sense.
then you would be
Okay.
required to deep observation.
Okay, I'm gonna read Title V.
Oh my God, we've read this so many times.
Alan, we've read Title V.
Oh my God,
Not
are
the
you
right section.
serious?
Alan,
Oh my
Alan, you're
God,
making a fool of
Mr.
yourself.
Lane,
this is ridiculous.
Could I follow up on
No.
that question?
no,
Well,
we're gonna read, there it is.
you wanted a response, he's responding.
He's
He
responding.
asked you to continue,
This
you
is
said you wanted a response.
15303.
can you read the title of that section,
Sure.
Alan?
You gotta go back to the previous page. Well, 15303, systems failing to protect the public health and safety and the environment.
Right.
That's the heading.
So, Alan, you have to
You don't have the
understand.
floor. You don't have the floor
You
till
have
I
to
finish.
understand, because you're going down a path that
No.
makes you look not good.
Karen?
I'm not Carol.
No,
You have to understand that 15.303 follows 15.301.
it's not
And it follows
sequential.
for a reason.
Okay, so let's read what it says. 15303. You gotta get
If one or more of the following conditions exist as documented by inspection by an approved system inspector or determined by the local approving authority or the department, the system is failing to protect public health and safety and the environment and shall be upgraded in accordance with the timeframes of 310 CMR 15.305, paragraph 1,
Did I go
and the
back?
standards of 310 CMR 15.404 and 15.405.
Yeah, okay, here's what it is. It's in 15303. It's 303, and it's number 7 under 303. It says, this is defining failures. A cesspool or any portion of a soil absorption system that extends below the high groundwater elevation, which is really what we're doing.
So why aren't every other town in this Commonwealth doing that?
Well, there's a number of towns that are.
No, they're not.
It's not true.
Again, I'd like, that's why I asked
I'm gonna-
I had asked this question because it's like, people should be focused that, it's like, it doesn't matter what other towns are doing. My hometown is Falmouth, okay? And on the Cape, most Cape towns, we had to put a sewer system in because of the porosity of the soil and the fact of like the tides changing, the fact that we had many of our ponds, brackish ponds, were polluted. And it was not only the state that came in and sued the town, it was also the federal EPA that came in because they found that we were in violation of the Clean Water Act, violation of the Clean Estuary Act. So, a lot of Cape towns have sewer systems. This is not the Cape. It's like, we're not by an ocean. The soil morphology down the Cape is much different than it is here in central Mass, and it can vary from town to town. But the bottom line is, Title V is specifically written as a state regulation for each town to abide by. It doesn't say, there's nothing in here that I've read that says, well, if Acton does this, or if Hingham does this, or Bridgewater does this, then, well, Sterling should too. It's very specific in stating, and it's like that each town must abide by the state regulations. And so that's why I'm asking, what data, what facts, what studies do you have, does this Board of Health have, to make a deep observation hole mandatory at the expense of the taxpayers in the town?
It's an
I mean,
observation hole, it doesn't necessarily have to be deep.
You've got it mandatory.
Look,
I've got the subsurface disposal system regulations here for Sterling. And in several places, it talks about deep observation hole. When you're putting a soil testing and soil evaluation, minimum of 2 deep observation test holes required. Come down to when you have new construction. No new construction leaching facility may be constructed and fill in an area where a deep observation hole test reveals the maximum groundwater level. So, groundwater elevation to be less than 2 feet from the surface of the ground. So that's the second reference I get to the deep observation hole. Systems inspections and time of transfer. Estimated seasonal high groundwater must be determined through a soil evaluation, parentheses, deep observation hole. It seems like this deep observation hole is if I need to put in a septic system, need to have a deep observation hole done. If I'm going to transfer if I'm going to sell my home to somebody else, then a deep observation hole has to be done. It's a mandate in Sterling, and it's right in here in the Sterling regs. It is not in the code. It's not in Title V.
I'll just repeat what I said. Title V defines a failure if your leach field intersects the high groundwater table. That's what this regulation.
And the board did look at last
And you're talking about failures. It's like-
Wait,
last August or September, we used the word deep observation hole because if you start off in your Title V in the beginning of the glossary, where it has definitions, all it has is deep observation hole. We were in process of redefining that when we put that on hold because of other issues that came up. But deep observation hole is the only wordage that comes from Title V. We were in process of trying to change that. We were talking with the state board on that. So that's why you have deep observation hole, deep observation hole.
Again,
I'm confused.
I'm a retired engineer, and Mr. Hoffman, I know you have the same engineering yeah, you actually have an engineering background from the same school that you went to, Worcester Polytech.
Undergraduate.
And you know that it's like that we base our decisions on facts, figures, studies, tangible evidence.
And regulations.
Regulations too, but still, facts and figures. I mean, if the state said that, well, if the water's only like 1 foot below ground, you must do this. How would we know the water's only like 1 foot above the ground? We would have to conduct tests, studies, get the facts and the data. At that point, it'd be like, okay, now, because the regulations state we must do this because of what we found out, we have to adhere by the regulations. And that's why I asked the question. It's like, again, what studies or facts or data do the Board of Health, what does this Board of Health have as far as studies, facts, or data? I mean, hard data, that's what we go by, not, well, the rules say this, or someone said that. No, data, facts. What data and facts did this board have in their possession? They'd be willing to share with the public here on why this is mandated. Because basically, without proper documentation and without documentation obtained through the gathering of facts and data to prove your position, why do you feel you have the justification to ignore the majority vote of the citizens of Sterling who oppose this measure?
I'll answer that one. It's well known that if bacteria from human waste gets into the groundwater, it stays there. There's no self-cleansing from that. I mean, that's the whole premise of Title V, is to create an...
Title V.
It's the whole premise of Title V. Title V defines... I broke my train of thought. The science says that coliform bacteria don't need an unsaturated distance through the soil to be deactivated. Title V bacteria from poop, basically, doesn't degrade once it's in the groundwater. And so the state regulation says that it defines failure under the section I read, which is right in Title V, defines a system that's in the groundwater as failing to protect the public health. And that's the key rub. If you have a disagreement...
But again...
Wait a minute.
Don't yell at
You're
him.
not, well, he's
Don't
interrupting.
yell at the guy.
He's interrupting. He's not letting me complete a sentence. And so that represents a threat to public health. I mean, the regulations that we introduced are in Title V, defining failure to be a case where the high water table mark intersects with the bottom of the septic system. And some towns have a distance. We have a town, I'll bring it up next meeting, that has a 2-foot offset to that. Now that's it. Now, we can argue from here for the rest of the, let me finish. We can argue here for the rest of the night, but if you feel you have a valid case, you should approach it in the courts.
Maybe I should. Maybe I should, because
No,
I'm just
absolutely.
asking for facts and data. And you keep saying like, well, the regulations, well, if you look at these regulations, even these regulations are premised on you have to follow this regulation if there's a failure. How do you determine a failure? Well, there are certain procedures that you have to go through to determine if there's really a failure. You just can't say, it's like, well, we're going to mandate this deep observation hole. Do you have a failure or not? You have to test for it. You have to carry out studies. Get the facts. You have to get the facts.
So what the board has done is put this extra test in above what 301, 15.301 requires a transfer of time, title transfer, okay? It doesn't, Title V doesn't mandate this test.
It doesn't.
And the town has. There's a reason why Title V doesn't mandate the request. It's not good to be digging holes around a working septic system. You can change the way things work. And if it was the end-all be-all test, the DEP would have put that in the pertinent section as a mandatory test for transfer of title, and they haven't done that.
Yeah.
And again, I agree with Alan, we could talk about this all night, but my bottom line is what the people have asked this board to do is legal. If the people have voted to say, we're gonna disregard Title V, I wouldn't be sitting here right now. But I'm sitting here because the voters, by overwhelming vote, requested this board to do something that is perfectly legal. And they're not doing it. So, to me, that is the bottom line. And again, we can talk about it all night.
That's true.
Alan's gonna continue to say what Alan's saying. We can continue to, other people can continue to ask the questions.
Question is, where do we go next?
Well, I don't,
Well, I think he had, did you have another question?
As I said, it's like, without again, it's like, all these regulations talk about what to do if you have a failure. How do you know you have a failure? Well, you have to test for it. You have to get data. You have to get facts. Without the proper documentation obtained through gathering of facts and data to prove your position, why do you feel you have the justification to ignore the majority vote of the citizens of Sterling who oppose this measure? Title V, I'm looking at 15.102, yes, it says deep observation hole test. Specifically, subpart B, siting of systems. In other words, a new system being put in. When it comes to construction, when it comes to maintenance, when it comes to inspection, even failure, there's nothing in here I can find that warrants or even transfers that mandates a deep observation hole must be done at the owner's expense. So that's what I'm saying. What facts are you presenting?
I think we're at loggerheads as to what the interpretation is. The courts are always available to you.
So that's what we go next.
I'd like to
The
say
court.
something, okay? Laura Ritchie, Whiskey Bean Road. I wanted to go back a little bit in October, at one of the meetings in October. There was a tiny bit of information that was given by a person sitting in this room about a lawsuit, okay? And at the last meeting, after we adjourned, there was a person that was at that meeting that isn't at this meeting that shared with me, and I will share with the town on the TV now, that somebody in this town did want to sue the town. And that is the reason why. Because you don't answer, we go around and get our own information. You cause people to speculate because you and the town council will not allow people to get the real information. You can go to the court, okay? We will go together to the court, okay? And we will get the information about who in this town was going to sue the town, and you people evidently settled at a court, okay? So the thing that was stated here last October was we were trying to save the town from being sued. That's the reason why you put this deep observation hole thing in place. That's the reason why. So I just answered the question for you because you refuse to answer the question why over and over and over and over and over. Okay? So it's on record now. Somebody wanted to sue the town, so the board decided to put a deep observation hole in place.
say thank
Okay,
you.
I think we've done enough. We're getting to
Just-
repetition.
Is that the case?
No.
Just one other comment, Alan. I think we're in a very sad situation when the board is telling the citizens to sue the town. I just think that is a very sad situation for us to be in. We should never be in that situation. Not in this town, not the way.
That was stated at the special town meeting too, save your money to the town.
Okay,
Okay.
okay. That ends the public session. Your motion to adjourn?
Do you want to just look at next month's,
Oh, yeah, we gotta go. When we're going next?
the 14th?
The 14th?
14th?
Yeah, I'm always available.
Okay, so next meeting is
March 14th.
March 14th, and we're going to the Finance Committee
Next Tuesday.
next Tuesday. Okay.
I
Motion
move,
to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Aye.